It occurs to me that these vlogs are going to be something of a shock to whoever's listening, or I don't know, maybe, but they're all intensely negative, and I don't think I'm expressing that elsewhere, just because I don't see the function of reflecting more vocally and more openly on how I feel things are going. Just because the only useful advice I could get would be, keep working at it, and maybe don't get so upset over it. But I guess a lot of people would say, no, this stress is good for you, it'll keep you working and all that. Maybe, but I'd take not being stressed over being stressed and working well. I mean, it's not that bad, but I guess all of the concerns come out when I start to reflect. I don't feel that terrible constantly. Anyway, it's well, I've painted the canvases. Now I've just finished them. I don't know what the date is today. But I did a written log recently. Big one in red that I'm looking at about. And I guess it doesn't go as long as any of these vlogs do, but I guess because of the structure of it, I expressed pretty well as how I'm feeling about the whole thing in more of a reflective, open way. But then thinking about it, that's all I've done is just complained about. And I guess in the past I've been less reflective and more direct about the actual progress. But then I don't think I've had such intense feelings about any project up until this one. The pressure's the biggest. Obviously, it's the biggest project, and I've taken on a ridiculous amount and been far too ambitious. Anyway, but I'd like to think now I've expressed that fully. I'd like to think I can stop talking about, oh no, it's just too much to do in the time frame that I have, and it's too ambitious, and I don't think I'm going to get it done, and I feel terrible all the time. I'd like, it'd be nice to, for a good while, put a hold on that stuff. Anyway, talking about the process a little bit more. The painting looks fine. It covers some of the sins of the bubbliness of the canvases, and I think the walls look good. And also, it's not as though any of them are going to be plain. They'll all have either stuff on them or against them. They should be a background feature, but looking on the bright side, I guess the imperfections are kind of a rugged indication of scale, in a way. I like to embrace mistakes like that. The stuff that gives it depth and makes it real, but at the same time, and that's part of the reason I don't feel a need to manufacture stuff to give it a rugged look, just because I can just make things how I do them, and that'll be the result. I've cut the puppet down, and the door will now be out of proportion, and I've not done a lot of mathematical scaling, but then I don't think I ought to do mathematical scaling. I think by eye this stuff should look fine. When I build all the small scene elements, just think of how they shape up to his hands or something. And at the same time, with diegetically, a puppet maker making this kind of thing wouldn't necessarily do everything to scale, but I also feel like, yeah, the scale stuff could be an obstacle to efficiency, and just getting bogged down in all that stuff would stop the flow of creativity and hand making in just sessions where I get into the flow of it and I make a load of stuff. But this does mean that the door's too big, but I can make adjustments with the skirting around it of to have the skirting hang lower and make the door seem slightly smaller. But at the same time, the scene is an unrealistic microcosm of someone's life diegetically, and I think a scale I don't think it should look like a scale replica of a room. It's certainly meant to be a fantasy, and those kind of imperfections, I think, give it life. And I think the process for this, at least, and considering the film is mine, should be more. What's the word? It shouldn't be put under intense constraints and self-scrutiny. It should just be natural. I'm struggling for the words. Sorry, I don't feel fantastic at the moment. That's it's probably coming through. At the same time, in terms of this, is probably not the best thing to have not vocalised any of these concerns to anyone. But to be fair, whenever people ask me how the project's going, I just say, terrible. And that stops the conversation in its tracks. They'll either think I'm joking or think, okay, well, that's not something I'm looking forward to discussing. But the building. I don't think the building is going to be enjoyable anymore, because I'm scared. But, the room's taken shape, and I think the building and the filming will be doable now. I've plotted it out in my head, and I think I can get it done. But it's gonna have to be like long distance running, I guess, where it's going to end up being like long distance running where it shouldn't have been, because where it's almost as if I've been saving the energy up for a short, quick burst at the end. But then it's not an energy thing going over months and months. I should have really spread it out evenly, all of the work to be done comfortably in time, or worked very intensely early and just have it done. I think I was too comfortable with saying, okay, well, this is a long project, and I ought to spread this work out, because if I get it all done too quick, that means I've not done it right, which isn't the approach. I don't think that's a good approach. I think in the future, do as much as you can as soon as you can, and if it's substandard, then work to improve it. Don't work to nail something first time incredibly slowly. They actually say mathematically the technique with long distance running is wrong, because you're saving all your energy for the end, but then you might have a lot of energy, a lot in you that you're not using right past the end of the race. They say if you break it down like mathematically and just basically scientifically, you should run as fast as you can, use up almost all of your energy, and then continue through to the finish line with whatever you have left in your tank. But I guess, as I just said, that doesn't really apply to this, so what am I talking about? But maybe there's a parallel to be drawn there. But whatever the product of this project, I've learned a lot about big projects like this, and I think I've learned about myself as well, because I haven't been haven't put myself under these conditions before. Obviously, the final major last year wasn't anything like this. I suppose I'm glad it wasn't to a degree because, well, that would have been far. That would have been far too intense. And so, I don't think the final major last year could have been like this. I don't think, no matter how much you say this is a great opportunity you say to a room full of kids, this is a great opportunity to practice for next year. The pressure's off because not much hinges on it. Is the trouble. But I still remember being fairly stressed last year because, again, I took too much on and failed. And I could see it happening again. But the difference is this time, last time I had, what I felt was a good deal of written work on topics that were hard to do written work about just because the whole project had been theorised, planned and designed so far in advance, so it was almost retrospective. I felt like the written work, the research work on the last year's final major was good, at least, like the design stuff. But then I didn't get enough filmed. With this project, there's not an option to not get enough filmed. I was trying to shoot a whole short sitcom episode, which shows how crazy I am. But this time, the only option is to get it all filmed, make a half decent film, and have it be lacking in the other respects, if it needs to be lacking, which may just come from my own negativity. Maybe it's doable and it just doesn't feel like it all the way through, but I honestly, I'm struggling to see how a whole full project based around this idea and is going to come together. But I honestly feel as though I'm doing my best now, for sure. I'm definitely putting in the hours, which, if by the end of this, I'd be happy for people. I wouldn't be happy, but I might be able to accept people telling me this isn't a strong project, or maybe the film isn't as good, and it doesn't fulfill what you wanted from it. But they can't tell me I haven't put work in. They can't tell me I haven't tried hard. But I could see where they got that from. But I wouldn't feel as though I hadn't tried hard. But I'm just really desperately trying to create something to show for myself. Yeah, the canvas stuff's pretty boring. It's not worth talking about. I've written about it in the logs, and it's not really so complicated that it needs to be. Well, if I had to talk about it, the issues with the paint were to do with poor planning as well, because I didn't have enough. I did a coat. I tried to mix the same colour again, which, as anyone knows, doesn't work, so had to mix a whole new batch of paint and then paint over all of them again, so that was days wasted with substandard planning, but the canvas has really drank the paint. Anyway, Jesus, 13 minutes. Sorry, that concludes this vlog.